So if our relationship with God is to be restored, then God must choose to bear the harm as the offended party. And if the harm is death, then God's got to die. One small problem. It's impossible for God to die. In our relationship with God, He is the offended party, and we've sinned against Him. And we are the offending party, and thus are powerless to restore this relationship on our own. It doesn't matter how many flowers we send God, how many good works we do, right? It doesn't matter how many good things we do. If God is not willing to bear the harm, then our works don't work. So God must choose to bear the harm. He doesn't have to. And God is life. The author and giver of life. He invented it and it comes from Him. And John 14:6 is clear. Jesus says that He is the life. So if God is life, then separation from life is death. And since sin separates us from God, like oil and water, then consequently sin equals death. Therefore, in every aspect that you have life, you will die if you're separated from the source of life. As Romans 6:23 says, the wages of sin is death. So if our relationship with God is to be restored, then God must choose to bear the harm as the offended party. And if the harm is death, then God's got to die. One small problem. It's impossible for God to die. God can't die physically because He is the creator of everything physical. He is non-physical. The Bible says God is spirit, not a physical thing. He's the creator of all physical things. So God cannot die physically, and God cannot die spiritually, because a spiritual death is a separation from God. But God is God based on the law of identity, that logical law. God is God, so therefore cannot be separated from God. That doesn't even make sense. So what do we got to do? We got a big problem here. If God's going to bear the harm, He's got to die, because the wages of sin is death. But God cannot die as God. Therefore, if humans are to be saved, God has to become human. Has to become flesh, as John says. So He could bear the harm and experience death. So you see, we need Christmas. We need Good Friday. And we need Easter to have a restored relationship with our Creator. Happy holidays. Happy holy days. Why do we need Easter? Why do we need that resurrection? Well, you see, it took more than just executing Jesus, because if death was punishment, if Christ is still dead, then He's still being punished. And as we noted in our first point, the historical resurrection is proof that God is satisfied with Jesus' atoning work. Therefore, Christianity is true and Jesus is the only way.